Ah, sister.
So now I am sister, and he is father. Only rebellion could wring such words from you. A pity.
Rebellion. I should never have trusted you to rule your own affairs.
Please, do you truly think this is father's fault?
He was agitating behind the scenes against me for years.
Trying to claw back a measure of the power he regarded as his. Never quite having the courage to acknowledge he held that power because of you.
Accepting governorship of Olympia for the Imperium was an act of realpolitik. He was too cynical to believe in the Emperor's dreams sincerely. I never expected him to be completely faithful.
And yet, you knew what he was doing. You did not stop him.
Why should I? He was no threat. No one took his sedition seriously. Not even him. I think it was a posture he adopted. He could never quite relinquish the role of strongman.
His actions have unleashed devastation upon us. He encouraged others to believe we could be free again. This is your fault.
And you? Do you think Olympia should be free?
Thanks to you, I have been forced to think so. You were seen as a gift from the gods. Perhaps you were their judgment instead. You are a scourge on this world.
There are no gods.
You deny that too hard, brother.
All men decide their own fate. We all choose. There are no demigods weaving our tapestry of life. We are all sinners, as the old Catholics of Terra had it, and we dwell in their hell.
Your nihilism is contemptible, brother. But I think there is more to you than that. Perhaps you allowed father his games out of affection, a desire to save his pride.
But now he is dead, and his world is ruined.
Do not be too sorrowful. Damocos was a black-hearted man. He drowned my brother Heracon in a vat of wine when he tried to overthrow him.
He drowned him?
Yes, in wine. Did you spare no thought for what was occurring here while you waged your wars?
And Andos? He was always the best of you.
Andos refused the medicines of the Emperor, withdrew to his workshops, and died 90 years ago. He would have been regarded as a master artisan were it not for you. You overshadowed everything he did.
I am sorry.
Why? You care nothing but for your dreams of utopia. Real people? They get in the way of perfection.
I realized something recently. Damocos and I have common ground. The Imperium, it cannot work. Damocos used to call my plans follies, and it enraged me. But maybe he was right. Maybe I inherited this tendency for grandiose plans from my real father. The Imperium is my father's folly. I try to believe in it, because I want it to be true, just like I wanted my great buildings to be true. But they cannot be. There is no such thing as perfection. Humanity is too chaotic to accept true order. Wanting something to be does not make it so.
You are weak. Badly forged iron looks strong, but it is as brittle as dried reeds. You never understood. People cannot be forced to live an ideal. They must be led.
People do not listen. They do not know what is good for them.
People do not bow to you without love, without respect. Even tyrants rule through fear or devotion, but you rule through indifference. You have soaked your way to damnation.
My brother Kurz did worse.
Comparing yourself to the worst of your brothers to excuse your own crimes? Listen to yourself. You slaughtered those who came to plead with you. You lost everything in that moment.
I have other brothers now. My true siblings. I am not yours.
And do they care for you here as your family did?
Damocos never cared for me.
No, he only raised you as his son.
A calculated risk. He used me.
He reached out to you over and over, but you are blind and selfish. You wrap yourself in your own brilliance, in your difference. I cared for you.
What of it? What good did the affection of mortals ever do for me?
You always thought yourself superior, Perturabo.
I am. I was made by the Emperor himself. You are withered. I am young. Of course I am superior.
What happened to the boy who wished for no more war? The one who dreamed of beauty?
Nobody wanted it. The Emperor uses me for the thankless tasks. My men bleed, and no one sings their songs. My brothers mock me. Nobody cares.
Is that so? Or did you push them away, waiting in the dark, hoping someone would notice? You never truly grew into a man.
I am far more.
And that is your poison. It is not the Emperor who has driven this world into ruin. It is you. You who craved love yet spurned it. You are the greatest fool I have ever known.
I wished for a better world, but there is only brutality.
It need not be. That is the violence within you.
No. In such a flawed universe, there can be no mercy for traitors.
Welcome back to Voxel Uplink, where today we will be taking a broad look into the life of Perturabo, Primarch of the 4th Legion, the Iron Warriors. Today we will discuss Perturabo's origins, his many obstacles and challenges faced throughout his life, as well as his relationship with the Emperor. This will be the third in a series of Primarch videos, each of which will detail the basic overview for each son of the Emperor. Some of you may be familiar with this knowledge already, but please bear in mind that these videos are surface level discussions surrounding the legendary Primarchs, and as we move forward, the follow-up videos will detail much more information surrounding their lore and histories. With all that said, let's get on with the video. Among the 20 Primarchs of the Imperium, Perturabo stands alone as potentially one of the most influential characters hidden entirely behind the scenes. His legacy is one of relentless logic, unyielding discipline, and deep-seated bitterness. As the Primarch of the Iron Warriors, he was an unparalleled siege master and strategist. Yet, he found himself overshadowed by his more charismatic and celebrated brothers. Unlike the nobler Primarchs who embraced their legions as beloved sons, Perturabo viewed his Iron Warriors as instruments of war, forged through suffering and honed through necessity. Perturabo's eventual fall into the embrace of chaos was not a moment of madness or mere temptation. It was the culmination of a lifetime of betrayal, resentment, and perceived injustice. Much like his Primarch brethren, Perturabo was cast into the warp by the machinations of chaos before he could be raised by the Emperor. He landed on the world of Olympia, a mountainous feudal world dominated by city-states locked in constant strife. There he was adopted by Damasos, the ruler of Lokos, who quickly recognized his prodigious intellect and military acumen. However, from an early age, Perturabo displayed an unsettling coldness. He absorbed knowledge with ruthless efficiency, mastered warfare with ease, and harbored a relentless curiosity about the universe. Yet, he struggled to form more human connections. Unlike some Primarchs who were embraced as saviors by their adoptive worlds, Perturabo never truly felt at home on Olympia. He suspected, and correctly, that he was not of that world, and this fueled a growing detachment. The Emperor eventually arrived to claim him, and unlike the grand welcomes given to the others such as Horus or Sanguinius, Perturabo met his creator with skepticism rather than awe. This lack of reverence would define his relationship with the Emperor and set him apart from his brothers. Perturabo's tenure as a Primarch was fraught with resentment. The Emperor assigned him to brutal wars of attrition, sieges, and defensive campaigns, unglamorous battles that earned little glory. While Rogel Dawn, his rival and the Primarch of the Imperial Fists, was lauded for his fortifications, Perturabo's own achievements were overlooked or easily dismissed. Despite his skill in warfare, he was very rarely praised, and his legion developed a siege mentality both in battle and in spirit. The Iron Warriors, under his command, became known for their brutal discipline. He implemented punishing decimations, wherein 1 in every 10 Iron Warriors was executed if they had failed in battle. To outsiders, this seemed excessive, but Perturabo saw it as a necessary method to ensure strength. His legion was forged in hardship, and he demanded absolute obedience, because he believed that only through iron discipline could they survive the thankless wars that they so often fought. One of the greatest blows to his pride came with the Olympia Rebellion. When he returned to his homeworld, he found that the people had risen against his rule. Their ingratitude enraged him, and in a moment of cold fury, he ordered the systematic extermination of Olympia's population. This act, one of the greatest atrocities of the Great Crusade, marked a turning point. Whether he admitted it or not, Perturabo had crossed a line, and his bitterness deepened into something irreparable. The relationship between Perturabo and the Emperor was strained from the start. Unlike some Primarchs who sought their father's approval or guidance, Perturabo resented the Emperor's expectations. He saw himself as a tool rather than a son, an underappreciated and indispensable cog in the great machine of the Imperium. This resentment was exacerbated by the Emperor's favoritism towards Rogel Dawn. While Dawn was entrusted with fortifying Terra, Perturabo was given grueling wars with no end in sight. Worse still, the Iron Warriors were often compared unfavorably to the Imperial Fists, despite their own mastery of siege warfare. Perturabo despised this double standard and saw it as proof that the Emperor truly never valued him. Many of his grievances were legitimate. The Emperor, for all his brilliance, was often blind to the emotional needs of his sons. Had he given Perturabo more recognition or purpose beyond the endless wars, perhaps the Primarch would have remained loyal, but in the end, this disillusionment grew too great. When Horus launched his rebellion, Perturabo's choice was not born of ideological alignment, but of exhaustion. The Imperium had used him, discarded him, and now he had a chance to overthrow the very system that had never appreciated him to begin with. His turning point came at Isstvan V, where he led the Iron Warriors in the infamous Drop Site Massacre, slaughtering many of the Loyalist legions. From that moment on, he was a traitor in the Emperor's eyes. As the Horus heresy unfolded, Perturabo carved a path of destruction. He sacked Dawn's prized phalanx, shattered the Loyalist resistance at the siege of Hydra Caudatus, and finally laid siege to Terra itself. However, unlike Horus or Fulgrim, Perturabo did not revel in chaos worship. He remained methodical, pragmatic, and cynical, even as the other traitor Primarchs fell into madness. It was after Horus's death that Perturabo's fate took a darker turn. He led his Iron Warriors to the Eye of Terror, where he eventually accepted the gifts from Chaos. He ascended to demonhood, yet, unlike Fulgrim or Angron, his transformation is shrouded in mystery. Some suggest that he did not become a true demon Primarch, but was instead artificially augmented, a theory that stems from an encounter with Fulgrim. One of the most intriguing theories about Perturabo's fate is that he never actually ascended to demonhood, in the traditional sense at least. The story goes that Fulgrim, now embraced by Slaanesh, stole Perturabo's life force, leaving him weakened and in need of augmentation, rather than true apotheosis. This would explain why Perturabo does not exhibit the same overtly demonic traits as his corrupted brothers. Instead of mutation and insanity, Perturabo's transformation may have been a calculated decision, an upgrade rather than a possession. This aligns with his personality. He never sought the worship of chaos, only the power it could provide. If this theory is true, then Perturabo's fate is perhaps even more tragic. He was not only betrayed by the Imperium, but also by his own supposed allies. However, one thing to keep in mind is that this is simply a fan theory. The credibility behind this is shoddy at best, however, it is a neat thought. Perturabo's story is not one of simple villainy. He was not a sadist like Angron, nor a zealot like Lorgar. He was a pragmatist, a perfectionist, and ultimately a deeply wounded soul who believed he had no other choice but to betray the Imperium. His resentment was perhaps justified, but his response to it sealed his fate. Whether he is a true demon Primarch or merely a heavily augmented warlord, his role in the Eye of Terror remains one of calculation rather than mindless destruction. In the end, Perturabo is a tragic figure, not because he was doomed from the start, but because he could have done so much more, had he only been able to see beyond his own pain. His story is a cautionary tale, a lesson in how bitterness can forge even the greatest minds into their own worst enemies. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch through this video. Please consider dropping a like and subscribing if you enjoyed it, as it will greatly help out the channel, as well as giving me some idea of what you guys want to see more of in the future. If you'd like to support the channel, then please head over to the Voxel Uplink Patreon. Maybe early days, but I still have big plans for the channel and the Patreon overall. I'd like to give a special shout out to the gentleman who joined me for the opening sequence of this video, as truly, these readings would not be possible without their help and input. Whether you enjoyed today's content or not, please let me know your thoughts and opinions on Perturabo and his Iron Warriors down in the comments below. Keep your eyes peeled, as next week we'll be covering Jagatai Khan and the White Scars.